welcome to another edition of our complete set review of Magic Core Set 2015. It is terrific. We're here on our last bit for the green cards. I'm Evan Irwin.
I'm Brad Nelson.
All freaking day, including the end of the day, which is where we're at, talking about green. We start with Ancient Silverback. This guy hasn't been in Standard or anything near legal in forever, I guess.
I think 7th.
I think 7th?
I feel like it's a 7th edition.
I mean,
we could have figured this out, but yeah, it's ancient back. It's
whatever.
Ancient history now. Let's just talk about the card.
It's ancient history. I mean, this is one of those where you have Crawlworm mana, which is 6 mana, 6/4 traditionally, and is now a 6/5 that has regeneration, so it's good. It's a good fatty. It's not the best fatty ever, but it's probably going to be better than most in your deck.
Yeah, once you untap, this card will take over the game. I mean, a 6/5 for 6 in a core set is huge.
It really is.
And being able to regenerate means it's just going to live forever and ever and ever. And there's no real way to get it off the board in this set except for, I can't remember, is Devouring Light, it's exile or is it sacrifice?
It's exile. There's the exile, the 4 toughness or greater. There's that one, and there's the sliver. The sliver. It's not Oblivion Ring sliver. It's Faceless Butcher sliver.
Yeah.
Yep. So that can exile it. So there's ways to answer it, as there should be for all creatures, and of course there's removal spells that would just kill it, like the Flesh to Dust, which does prevent regeneration, which is probably a big deal for this guy. So this is a really good green fatty. It's going to be at the top of your curve. It's what you want to curve into, and should be just fantastic. There's a reason that it's uncommon and not common.
Yes, and it's a very good creature. Played every time. It's a good draft pick. I mean, just regeneration on a huge body is always good in a green creature.
Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with good old Silverback. Back to nature. Now, this is what happens. This is like why they printed Shatterstorm when Scars of Mirrodin was out.
Yeah.
You know, like if things go too cray.
With Theros block.
Yes, you have a 2-mana answer to all the things.
Yeah, Hexproof just saw its biggest nightmare. If Hexproof ever gets too out of control, we've got Back to Nature.
Yep.
Same with Constellation decks.
Yeah, I mean this is the safety valve. I love these types of cards. I love that they print these types of cards. They should keep doing this. Thank you, Wizards. Like, you know that if something goes too crazy or if something gets too good, you have to have the complete, cheap, easy to access, uncommon in a core set answer. It's not like a crazy mythic rare or whatever. It's just a good old-fashioned 2-mana. Get rid of all your crap. Let's stop this Eidolon Blossoms garbage with your mana blooms and your Doomwake Giants or whatever. Just get all that crap out of here for 2 mana, not even 4 mana.
I don't know if we'll need it this time around, but I'm glad it exists.
I'm really glad it exists. Thank you, Wizards. This is not good and limited for a whole variety of reasons, mainly in that it's just inconsistent at best. It's not going to be good in sealed or draft. You might bring it in if your opponent has like Spectral Ward and Heliod's, what was it? Heliod's Pilgrim, yeah. Heliod's Pilgrim to go find a bunch of really cool enchantments. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you're boarding in a Naturalize effect to deal with an enchantment, this is just a good one to have in your sideboard because sometimes it can pick up 2.
Right. So there's goodness, there's options. It's fine. It's not an all-star, but what I love about it is it's the safety valve.
Yep.
It's the, oh my God, the format's bad, and then you pull back nature, and then everything comes back. That's awesome.
Where's Karma?
Oh,
we need a Karma.
Get out of here. Yeah, gross. Karma was an awesome hoser back in the day. It is yucky. Carnivorous Moss Beast. This is a good one.
It's interesting.
It's fine.
Plant Elemental Beast.
I mean, this is the 6-drop that, unlike the Silverback, you don't want infinite copies of.
Yeah.
You want 1, maybe 2 if you don't have a Silverback.
Maybe none.
I don't know.
5 for 6 is pretty expensive for a green.
We're
talking green, right? Like, these are our premium threats. Like, we get these as opposed to all the other colors get flyers and quick creatures that are powerful. We get monsters.
I mean, look, you're going to play it, and then you're going to pass, and then you're going to get to untap, and if you're playing another land, you're going to be able to activate its ability. So then at that point, it's a 5/6, so it's going to be very difficult to block. So, and every turn, if you're not doing anything else, the guy gets bigger. Every turn, bigger.
Do you get it? Because it's moss and it grows.
If only we're on a Rolling Stone.
That was a cool card, too.
It wasn't even.
Rolling Stones?
Yeah. Not great. Just kind of mediocre at best. This guy is like, it's okay.
He's fine. I mean, you'll play like 1 copy if you don't have a top end, but for the most part, like, I don't think it's ability is super great because it's so mana intense, and you
Yeah.
can get blown out from activating it.
Man, I mean, if you put in like a whopping 13 mana in this thing, and then they just kill it with a
Or
flesh to
bounce
dust,
it, or yeah.
oh god, or bounce it, you just feel terrible. There's such huge high amounts of feel bad. Only use this if you're just like really desperate for a fatty, really desperate for something on the high end. It's not unplayable. It's just not very good.
Yeah.
Charging Rhino. Okay. This is coming back. This is from like Onslaught Block or something like that.
I don't think it was Onslaught Block.
I know it might have been all the way back to Odyssey.
It was. I feel like this is an
not,
invasion card.
Yeah, actually, I think I know that this now is playable in Modern because it was printed in M15, whereas it was not in Modern before. So it has to be one of those older sets.
I'm pretty sure it's invasion block. I might be wrong, but it is a powerful card.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, it just because it can't be blocked by more than one creature means that it is going to have to go toe-to-toe with something. Like your opponent has to be able to put something in the Coliseum against it. They can't double block it.
Exactly.
And so it's going to get damaged through. It's got pseudo-evasion because of its ability.
Exactly. And any sort of auras, any sort of pumps, anything that makes this guy much stronger than he already is going to be that much better because that ability lends itself to just really letting you see a high amount of upside when you pump it in any way.
Yep.
So, super cool card. You don't have to pick it really early. It's not something that a lot of people are going to fight you over. But, you know, if you're looking for a 5-drop and you need a good fatty, it's a fatty.
He's got good stats for a common, yeah.
5 mana 4/4 with an ability is cool. This card is bazonkers.
I can't believe. So,
Here we go. Here we go.
So I remember 2 days before this came out, Em was sitting at his desk, and he's like, so, Convoke's back. And I was like, yeah. And you're like, do you think that, nice, awesome green one's going to be back? And I was just like, no, they're not going to print Chord. And we argued for a little bit about it.
Right. I think there was something like, Wizards doesn't do this anymore. I believe that was a phrase that kind of came out. They don't do this anymore. They don't print these types of cards. They don't make these types of tutors anymore. And
I thought it was really gross the first time around. Sure, there's not as many combo pieces right now, but we don't even know yet. We could find some sweet combos. There are some sweet combos that exist, like Archangel of Thune, Fathom Seer, and whenever you draw a card, gain a life. And then all of a sudden you just draw your whole deck, and all your guys get counters.
Nice.
And just there's other subtle ones. This card is very good and constructed. Maybe they printed it so it's not just like this $30 or $40 card in Modern, because they're pushing Modern.
It's nice. Like they needed to reprint this type of card. Like basically it was this thought experiment of like there's this Convoke card. It's super powerful. Would they ever reprint it in the set where they're bringing back Convoke? And it's just like no way. And this is Wizards being able to happily surprise everyone and be like, way. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's go. This card, like it drove the Project X deck back in the day, and that was where you could just automatically kill them with Safi Eric's daughter. And
do you know how much
Crypt
I love
Champion.
that deck?
I can imagine a lot.
I played it on Moto.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Yeah.
You must love it a lot.
I did love that
because it was triggers and you had to click on it and bring it back and do this thing and it had to be stacked just right to bring back the right creatures and all that stuff. When in real life you were just like, you're dead, right? And then you go like, yeah, I'm dead. And it's like, okay, so we're done here. Like, there's none of those combos exist right now in Standard. I think because that deck existed back then, they're even more aware of it now to make sure there is no Court of Calling insta-lose type deck. There's no Project X type deck. But that's not necessarily bad. And in Limited, this thing is just a huge bomb. It's just a monster bomb. You literally go get anything. It doesn't have to be a green creature. It's just the best creature in your deck. Right then, instant speed, end of their turn, get you. It gets no better.
Yeah, and in Standard, I think we'll see some play. It's not going to be super oppressive right away. It might be way better after a rotation. But one of the things that I am really excited about for the next couple months is the Prophet of Krufix decks, where you just play Prophet, untap, and if you have 9 permanents, you can just at instant speed the next turn during your opponent's turn go get Aetherling.
Oh my God.
And that could be as quick as turn 4. It could be a consistent way to get Aetherling to play it by turn 4. I think there's going to be a blue-green deck that just plays a couple Aetherlings and Court of Callings and.
Well, why not Prime Speaker Zagana or something? You know what I mean? Like.
Well, but why draw cards when you can just kill them?
Well, Aetherling doesn't always just kill them. It depends on where you're at in the game and if you have enough mana to.
It's turn 4.
I
it
get it.
Just kills them.
I guess.
They're just dead.
I mean, maybe.
They're probably just dead.
They're probably.
Odds are they will lose the game.
Odds are probably.
Yes. You will win.
Probably.
Yes. Aetherling doesn't always win the game because you have to cast it with mana
look,
open.
I mean, look, man, if you're going to go get a 6-drop, let's go get a freaking Soul of Theros or something, man.
This is an Aetherling. You take that back.
No, I'm not taking it back. You can't make me take
Let's
it
go
back.
get Soul of Theros because that was my preview card.
Hey, what's all this sweet? Come on, the card's sweet. Card's sweet. I want to untap with that guy. Aetherling is good, but, you know, if you're already got a Mana Accelerant and Prophet of Crucifix, you know, you go get Soul of whatever.
I
Let's make
feel
some things happen.
like you are insulting Magic players right now.
No, I'm not.
It's an Aetherling.
Oh, come on.
It just wins games.
It really does. And particularly if you have a Prophet of Crucifix
And if you
out.
just played it on turn 4 and you still have cards in hand, it's not like you exhausted any resources.
Well, but you're also tapped out at that point, right? So your shield's down.
No, it's not because you just chose to do it at instant speed. So if they don't do anything, you can wait a turn. You have everything. You don't have to go Chord for it that turn. You
Right,
can
well,
wait
as
a
long as
turn.
you can Chord with a blue up, then you're good.
Well, they're probably also going to try to kill your Prophet that turn.
All I know is this card is going to go in a ton of decks. It's
Yeah.
going to go in a variety of strategies. It's super good. It's always been super good. Wizards let you now afford Quarter Callings. For God's sakes, they were like $40 at one point.
And right now we have Burning Tree Emissary and Nykthos, so like this already is even busted. Like it's really gross, and I don't know. Like you have so many good ways to produce green and X mana. Like you have green black, so you can splash black or blue, and you have 12 sources. But even if you're just the other two combinations, you have 8 sources plus like mana confluences.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Quarter Calling is going to be pretty good.
It's good. It's amazing. It's great in every format. You'll love it. I love this card. Elvish Mystic. I also love this card. It's also good in every format.
So because it was an M14 now and M15, can we play with 8 now? Is that how that works?
No.
That sucks.
Nope. Sorry. Just foe. Just foe with Elvish
Foe
Mystic.
for show.
Yeah, replace Llanowar Elves. Why? Because Llanowar Elves was plural. I still think that's kind of ridiculous, but whatever.
It is,
I
but at
understand.
least now every cube gets another elf.
I know, right? Yay. Woo! Elves are great. In Cube, you always want your mana accelerants. They always work great. In Limited, again, you're sort of jumping over turns of mana. You're jumping over your opponent's resources and able to get to your 5-drops and your 6-drops before they are, and that's always a good thing. And it's not anything you're going to pick above these balmy creatures or these balmy spells, but it is something you definitely want to pick up early before they all disappear.
Yep.
So, you will love it. It's good and limited, constructed, all the things. Feral Incarnation. This card was like, I read it, and then I was like, what? And then I read it again, and I was like, seriously?
It seems very good.
It seems really, really good.
Again, it's not 9 mana, it's 9 resources, and that's
Yes.
much different.
Totally different.
And you get 9 power out of it.
I mean, look, guys, you know, you play 1 through 4 drop, and then your 5th land, and then you have 3 3/3s.
And now you have no more reasons to play with my tokens.
Yeah, you do.
Don't worry about Todd's that are real beasts. Use mine.
Goats.
What? No.
Scratch
I have
out and put 3/3.
No, I have humans. Remember my humans?
Okay, you can make a
Like
human. Yeah.
This one?
With the claws.
Yeah, we're not the guys that should be doing. Like,
No.
that's the next thing. It's just like the calendars, just like the Magic player calendars.
Oh God, we're gonna have to do like the Costanza.
I would
great.
totally do the. I mean, didn't Kibler kind of already do the Costanza?
No, man, you got to do it topless, man. I'm actually convinced that's what Kibler's doing, by the way.
He's doing another topless one?
No, he's on his health kit. He's on his health kick so he can do a calendar.
Oh, that's gross.
He's the prettiest man in Magic.
That's not true, Tom Ross.
Okay. To each his own, sir. But
Ben
one of them,
Lundquist.
one of them, or well, yeah, one of those 3 now has their own playmat dedicated to their beauty.
I would go. Okay, sure. Let's just get off this topic before I say something I shouldn't say.
Let's keep moving. The point is, Feral Incarnation is really good. There's a reason it's uncommon and is very, very powerful. I don't know what else to say other than like you pretty much want to play this in your green deck that's going to have a bunch of dorks anyway.
Yep.
This card is fantastic. Gather Courage. Speaking of fantastic.
I've talked about this card so many times before we've even gotten
I know,
here.
right? You brought this thing up a bunch of times. Needless to say, limited all-star.
Yes. You can be tapped out, give your guy protection from a removal spell or blocking. It's just super powerful. Play every copy. It sucks it's uncommon because it's so good.
It's so crazy good. Now, to move back just a little bit, to be clear, Feral Incarnation, no constructed. Gather Courage, probably not,
It
but
could still
maybe.
see constructed.
It's got some maybes.
It's like pseudo-free against like red decks, and
It did see a little play back in the day, as
Yeah.
I recall. Like it is again like sort of your fifth giant growth or your fifth pump spell or whatever. And again, being free, as it were, is always the best cost when you're dealing with constructed. So, gather courage. It's awesome.
I think it's very good.
Yep. Pick it early. Always play it sealed. Genesis Hydra. Pick it early. Always play it in seal and draft. Card is dumb.
It does seem very good.
Woo!
And it even seems like something that could be cool in constructed in the Nykthos decks. I don't know yet, but it is pretty interesting that if you play this for like, let's say 8 mana total, if you hit a Garruk, they can't counter it. Like a controller can't counter
Right.
the
Just
Garruk.
puts it into play.
Just puts it into play.
Yep, which is great. I mean, or puts it on the battlefield or whatever, specifically. But, the fact that it only gets one card is a thing. Back in Genesis Wave, well, back in Genesis Wave, you got all of them.
But that card got countered. The extra card does not, and that's
The
a
extra
huge
card doesn't
part.
count. Yeah, which is nice. But, there's no doubt that George Fan, the Plants vs. Zombies guy, certainly made his plant, and it's certainly awesome.
Yeah.
So way to go. Great, terrific design. I've loved it ever since I've seen it.
Yeah, it's super powerful.
It's beautiful. You'll love it in draft and sealed. Like, it's just a big bomb rare. Pump all your mana into it and enjoy. Hornet Nest, probably my favorite design of the whole set.
This is the coolest card in the whole set. When I saw this, I was just like, how was this not made before? This is just beautiful.
And I think Forsyth was saying that Jenna Holland made this one.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
She's been working on Magic and R&D, sort of tangentially, as I understand it. She works in sort of world building, lore, that type of stuff, creativity stuff.
I think,
as I understand
I think this
it.
is her calling.
But good Lord, this card is awesome.
It's perfect.
It's beautiful. It's just, I love everything about it. I love the art, the fact that it's a defender. The power and toughness is sweet. It's an 0/2, so it can block a 1 power guy. That's a thing. Like, the best part, and it's like, Forsyth was mentioned on Twitter, it's like every green mage has to Chord of Calling to this at some point.
Yeah.
You have to. It's just like it's a part of your,
Calling, yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing that you must do as a green mage is just destroy someone with this. And they're just like, monstrous my Pelucranos or monstrous my Arbor Colossus and kill that thing and brawl. And you go like, wait a moment. Chord Calling for 2, or Chord Calling for 3 rather, and wreck your face. And make a whole bunch of like, bees!
Yeah, it's so good. And they all have Death Touch, which is even more impressive.
I know, right? Which, it leads us directly into
Hornet
the Queen. Like, both of those cards are amazing. Now, Hornet's Nest is just like, it's just a rock star card. It's great in any limited format. It's probably going to be good and constructed as like a kind of a silver bullet, again, for a Chord of Calling deck. But it's going to do what you want it to do. Hornet Queen is a huge bomb. Like, it's just, you're going to like, rare 7, get you, create a whole bunch of dudes, a whole bunch of power, death touch everyone. Like, it's super awesome in that regard. So there's no way you can go wrong and limited by playing a Hornet Queen. Let's put it that way.
Unless you don't have Force in your deck.
Then it's weird.
Yeah, it's pretty
Don't make it
awkward.
weird. Don't make it weird, Brad.
Yeah, there's only one flavor foul, in my opinion. You only get 4 tokens, so you can't just tap out for Hornet Queen and then convoke into Hornet's Nest.
Oh, that'd be so sweet.
Should have been only 2 mana for Hornet's Nest.
I know, right? It should have been better, and it should have drawn your card. Yep, that's what I should
2
have
cards.
done. Oh, dubs. Sweet dubs.
Yep.
Well, when the Hornets die, they should have drawn your card.
All of them.
Yep, every one. That's fair.
I think it is.
But Hornet Queen, as we know, is good and powerful. It's a super sweet fatty. I've played this thing in cube plenty of times. It saves butts. It'll save your butt, and in any limited game. And constructed, it's just never really been.
Yeah, I don't even see it as a Chord target. Like, that's 10 mana for 5 guys. Like, sure, it beats Desecration Demon, but I don't think Desecration Demon is going to be like good moving forward. So
Right, it's just not enough. Essentially, is the problem with Hornet Queen. But that's okay. Hunt the Weak is a fine conditional removal spell.
it was like one of the first fight cards, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of the first ones, absolutely. And, it's good to sort of see it come back, and it's good to know that, like, green has a sweet removal spell. It's not like a first pick, oh my god, this is the best removal spell ever, but you're going to pick it early, and it's going to do some damage.
Especially in this format, like the bounce is like Pill from Reality is an instant, but the other ones are either sorcery or really slow. So I think that this card is going to be a lot stronger in this format as opposed to when it was originally out, because there isn't a lot of instant speed cheap removal.
Correct. He who hesitates is lunch, by the way. That's funny. I like that. That's funny. Hunter's Ambush. Now, this is another really cool combat trick where it's like a pseudo fog if you needed to just be a fog, or it's like an amazing combat trick when you needed to be a combat trick.
And that's them pushing fogs. Like, fog was never really played, but now with all the different variations on it, this one is good.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just a mono green deck, you're able to stop all their creatures from dealing damage, and yours deal damage, and that's really good.
That's pretty much amazing. Because,
or game changing.
Yeah, really. There's going to be like, all right, block here, so I get good trades, and I'll let this one through, whatever. And like, yeah, no, you won't.
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, I'm going to play this huge thing and pump all my guys and get you, and you're like, no, I don't think so. I mean, it works good proactive and reactive.
And I would start one of these in every sealed deck.
Yeah,
if I had a lot of
absolutely.
green creatures.
Yeah, you're going to need some green creatures so you don't kind of blow up yourself or whatever, and you don't just use this as
Not
a
a splashable card.
No, don't splash. Because you want both sides. That's the power of the card.
Yeah.
Without both sides of the card, if it was just prevent all combat damage, if it was just fog, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting, playable, or powerful.
Yep.
Invasive Species. Now, this is a really interesting one. How do you feel about this one?
I don't think it's going to be good because there's not a lot of early come into play triggers in this format. So this is, like, usually these cards are printed to have an upside ability, but this is just straight downside.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like this, again, if there was, if the mechanic that returned, had something to do with like landfall, for example.
Yeah.
If landfall was coming back, this would be a cool card because you would pick up your land and you can play it again, and that's cool. But when there's just not a lot of enter the battlefield abilities, period, which there really aren't,
Nope.
And us going through the entire sets, we haven't really seen much anyway.
Or draw effects like Elvish Visionaries or anything like that.
Yeah, so this
there's
basically-
Satyr Wayfinder, but that's about it.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that here soon, but ultimately, there's just not a lot. I mean, like, if you can get, like, the Mondo combo of Helios Pilgrim into Invasive Species, pick it back up, play it again, like, Magical Christmas Land does exist, Enter the Battlefield abilities do exist, I pick up my Hornet Queen, blah, blah, blah. That's great, but that's not what your sort of average, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, do you play this? If you play this, what do you pick up and why? There's different reasons as to why this card can work and why it can't.
Yeah. I mean, the non-red colors also don't have a lot of 3 power, 3 toughness, so it is going to be usually the biggest creature by turn 3, but at the cost of a land.
Right.
It's pretty bad, especially since green decks are going to want to get to their silverback apes and everything.
Exactly, because you're kind of setting yourself behind. Yes, it has the most push stats of the entire set in terms of on turn 3, but where are you on turn 4? Where are you on turn 5? At that point, you're a turn behind for the rest of the game even.
And green never wants to play from behind.
Correct. Colonian Twin Grove, this guy is sick.
He is really good,
This
right?
guy is really good, yes.
Yeah, I thought so. He's a card that I wouldn't mind picking up.
Yeah, this is a guy that if you're drafting, all of a sudden you want to go super heavy green. And if you're in sealed, you want to look at your green cards a lot harder than any other colors so you can try to get as much value as you can. Because even if you just have 4 forests, I mean, this is 2 4/4 for 6 mana, like, deal.
And it's not like base set. Like, you're going to be able to grow them as you play more forests.
Correct. So you play another forest, now you get 2 5/5s for 6 mana. You know what I mean? Like, it adds up. It continues on. It rewards you for playing this primary color. It's a really sweet design.
Yeah, it's a really cool card.
Right, super cool, great and limited, in either format, and in constructed. I don't know.
I could see it being in a Chord of Calling mono green devotion based deck.
Perhaps. I mean, it's no Dungrove Elder.
No.
But it makes 2 of itself. Like, immediately. Not just, a little bit or whatever, immediately. And, when we're talking about Invasive Species, again, comboing with cool cards, pretty cool card to combo with.
Yep.
Let's face it. But again, this is a rare. So all of a sudden you're like, this card has to interact with this rare at this time. On turn 3, you essentially can't play the Invasive Species because you're waiting to try to get this ultimate super value out of it. And if they kill this guy as a result of, while the Invasive Species is on the stack or whatever, like, you can just lose. So, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, it's a shaky bridge for you to go over. But ultimately, this guy is awesome. You should always play him in your green decks, and you will never be disappointed.
And he'll make you into a green deck.
Yeah, he will. Life's Legacy is really interesting to me.
Yeah, I've
cool.
had a lot of people bring this card up and say it's like a card that's going to be good because of like Disciple of Bolas and other things. And
I fell for this type of card way too many
well,
times.
Disciple was a much different card too. Like back then you had Thragtusk. So like the problem with this card is you were sacrificing board position for card advantage. And the problem is you don't have cards like Thragtusk to sacrifice where they gave you life and they give you a tempo advantage. Like, you're sacrificing tempo to do this as well.
Right.
So I don't want to put a Pelucranos into play and then just have to sacrifice for 5 cards.
Correct. If there was, if there was a Thragtusk-esque creature, if there was a good pushed creature that replaced itself in some way, or even just left some tokens behind in some way, the Chasm Stalker or whatever it was, the blue guy, that to me is a lot more interesting. But at that point, you're jumping through a lot of hoops in order to try to get this to happen, because you're essentially trading 2 cards. That's from the very beginning. This card and the creature that you're sacrificing for whatever amount of cards that you're able to draw. So for the first 2 cards you draw are basically just parity. Like, you're not actually getting ahead. So the creature has to be probably at least 3 power or more for you to actually get card advantage off this. And then you're also losing the board position of having that creature exist versus what this gives you.
Yeah, and I think like the Nykthos decks, you can just do more powerful things with just casting spells and not having a situational card. Because if you're behind, you're way behind if Legacy is in your hand.
Exactly. So how do you feel about this guy in Limited?
I still don't like it because Limited's like, I feel like it's going to be more tempo based. Like the creatures are better than before, so like you want to just be attacking and killing your opponents. I don't find there might be a situation where I'd want to sacrifice a creature to draw a bunch of cards, but I don't think just drawing a bunch of cards to sacrifice one of my biggest creatures is going to help me out in a game.
Right, it's tough, right? I mean, like, there's this good feeling of you're like going, man, I'm drawing 6 cards. It's amazing. Like, you gave up a 6 power guy in order to do that. And the first 2 cards were basically just putting you back to where you were to start with.
Yeah, the only time I think that this card will be good is like if my opponent has a lot of encrust or like ways to stop my creatures from attacking that are in play.
Right.
So it's just upside then, right? Because like they pacified your guy.
Exactly. So at that point, it becomes like sort of a pseudo sideboard card if they have a bunch of onboard like tricks / removal / things to keep your things locked down. So it's just not that great. So again, I've seen Momentous Fall, and obviously there's Greater Good and things like that. So like I've been fooled by these types of cards too many times because Greater Good was great when you could sacrifice Kamigawa Dragons. That gave you infinite value, which is terrific. But when I ain't got no Kamigawa Dragons, I don't want anything like this.
Nope.
No thanks. Living Totem, okay.
It's cool. I mean, it's
nice that
sometimes you're going to convoke, but yeah, like putting a +1/+1 counter on a creature is pretty sweet. It has to be a different. You can't put it on Living Totem.
Yeah.
So you have to have a guy, but I mean, you can play a 2-drop into just playing this on turn 3 and then putting a counter on the guy and then attacking on turn 4. So I do think that you're going to play as many copies of this as you have.
It seems really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, even if one powers out another, which powers out another, like you're still able to kind of put your counters wherever they need to go, and they kind of all work together and work really well together. So it is just a 4-mana 2/3, but the ability to add the extra power. It is permanent, and the Convoke sort of pushed this one over the top in terms of a very high-quality green common.
Yep, I think this is going to be a good card.
Simply sweet. Naturalize. It's good. It's good.
It's back.
It's probably not good enough to main deck. In draft, in sealed, maybe. In sealed is where you kind of find the big auras and the crazy enchantments / artifacts that they're playing.
Yep.
And it can blow people out as a result. So, it's questionable. It depends on the form. Like when I go to something like a pre-release, it's a little bit different for me to main deck this versus where if I go to a Grand Prix versus main decking this. You know what I mean?
Really?
It just feels a little bit different in terms of like, will the people in the pre-release be more apt to play the crazy enchantments and artifacts, or will the people in the Grand Prix be less likely to play the sort of stretch for the artifacts and enchantments only if they're amazing? Which means to me, this is a sideboard card for a Grand Prix and it's a main deck card for a pre-release.
Yeah, I mean it just depends on what my deck is doing and how many of the Sage that I have. Because those will be main decking.
Oh, that card is absolutely main deck.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Reclamation Sage is amazing. Naturalize, however, is Naturalize has been around for a long time. It used to be Disenchant back in the day and was white in a colorless instead of a green in a colorless, and they kind of color shifted that over. And then we've never gotten Disenchant back except for that short period of time in Time Spiral where we had it, and it was great because I love Disenchant. But it's okay. Disenchant, Naturalize, it's all good. A remarkably kind of mediocre card, but ultimately one that needs to exist for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
It's a tool that must exist as a Magic card, even if it's not like, oh my god, I can't believe they reprinted it. It's like, yeah, I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, I mean, there's just green needs to be able to kill something on the board.
Right. And this is about all they get kind of for free, as it were. Netcaster Spider is a sweet one. I like this card a whole bunch. It's the spideriest spider that ever spidered a spider. It just gets big and scary when it blocks something that comes into its web. You know what I mean? I think that's very flavorful and cool.
Is this a reprint or like a functional reprint?
As far as I know, this is a brand new one.
Okay.
So at least I can't remember ever seeing it. And as a result, a 3-mana 2/3 anyway is fine.
Yes.
A 3-mana 2/3 with reach is fine. And a 3-mana 2/3 with reach plus upside is awesome.
Yeah. You know, it's sad that Giant Spider had to go, but this does seem a little bit better.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I'm fine with this.
This
card,
kills
yeah.
things like, Illusory Angel, Hoarding Dragon, whatever, any sort of air elemental thing that your opponent's doing. This guy stops them cold, and that's super powerful.
And it's got a sweet art. It feels very Innistrad-ish.
Ooh, yeah. It's going to get that
Really
Pegasus.
dark.
It's going to eat the Pegasus, man. Chow down. Nissa Worldwaker. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a Planeswalker.
So, do you remember when they made the little dolls and the Nissa one, and we're all I when I saw the Nissa one, I was like, and it never clicked to me why that one existed.
Yeah, they kind of hinted that she was coming back, but they didn't really explain. Obviously they're not going to explain why or whatever, but ultimately, A, I like the name. Nissa Worldwaker is really sweet. B, 5 mana for 2+ abilities, both going to 4 loyalty is a big deal.
Yeah.
The fact that you can turn, like, for example, a Darksteel Citadel into an indestructible 4/4 is a big deal. Untap all the 4 forests, which means this goes right into mono green. Like, this is a card. I feel like they pushed it. You're going to have. Its ultimate is its ultimate. They're kind of like.
The ultimate seems really busted.
Oh, it is, but you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, like, okay, if you survived another 3 turns, honestly, 4 turns after you play this card so you can fire off the ultimate, you deserve to get, like, DI 4/4s or whatever, which is great. But the first 2 abilities are really what kind of define a Planeswalker as, is this going to make the impact that it needs to make? And in Limited, as Planeswalkers do, it's completely insanely busted. For God's sakes, always play it. But for Constructed, how you feel about it?
I think this is the exact card that Mono Green Devotion needed. They were like playing Arbor Colossuses or Eidolon of Countless or Eidolon of Blossoms, just trying to find something to do with their mana. But now that the Mono Green decks have this card and it just comes to play, untaps, plays a 4-drop Protector like a Polukranos, and then the next turn you can either make a 4/4 to attack with or untap more lands to just Genesis Wave, or not Genesis Wave, Chord of Calling, or play Garruk and have extra mana. Like, this is what Mono Green Devotion needed. And I think that's going to push that deck over the edge. We even saw Jerry play it at the Invitational where he thought it was really good. And it was missing something, and this is exactly what it was.
Absolutely. I mean, the ability to, like, basically super rev your Chord of Callings seems insane.
Yeah, and just all the other devotion-based cards that this is going to be good with, like Nylea's Disciple, it just play it, untap the 4 lands, play Nylea's Disciple, or even what it's called, Reverent Hunter.
Yep.
Like, just adding 2 devotion and untapping and then being able to do something devotion-based is super powerful. And this card is probably going to be a 3 or 4 of, and I think we're going to see a lot of it at the Pro Tour because Mono Green Devotion is powerful. It just didn't have enough cards.
Absolutely, and now it does. Like, again, we're in the 3-month awesome period where we get all the goodies, and my God, Nissa Worldwaker is going to be one of those goodies.
Yep.
It is sweet, super sweet. Always play it limited, as we said, and Constructed, it's going to be great. Now, Nissa's Expedition, this is interesting. It is
interesting.
Kind of a super rampity, growthy thingy.
Yeah, I don't really see what it's going to do in Constructed because of the devotion. Like, it's fighting for different things, right? Like, you don't really want to play ramp that doesn't ramp your devotion because you're already all in on Nykthos.
Sure.
So this is where if you want to splash something, but you really need a bunch of mana.
So let's take it into the limited realm. Is this playable in limited?
Yeah, I think it's fine, especially it'll allow you to do like multiple things. Like if you ever cast this card, next turn you can like play multiple different colors spelled and it can go get you 2 different splashes, or it'll allow you to play like double casting cost spells. I think this card's fine in limited if you have some big flashy bombs or like a soul.
Sure. And I don't think it's also one of those that you're really looking for a bunch of multiples of this. Multiples kind of stack poorly, essentially. Like the first Nissa's Expedition is amazing, and the second one is like, God, really?
Yeah.
I gotta go get more lands because at this point I want gas. Like this, gives you the ability to play your gas cards, and that's all you wanted to do is like that one time. It also is great to go get your 1 land, that turns on your sort of the gold cards, if you will, that you're looking for. So I need the 1 mountain, or I need the 1 island, or the 1 whatever. Nissa's Expedition efficient, get you there, and with Convoke, you're able to power it out ideally early.
Yeah, I mean, probably turn 4 is the fastest you're going to do it, unless you have to go 1-drop, 2-drop.
Right. So 1-drop,
or raise the alarm. Raise the alarms can play it on turn 3.
There you go. I mean, again, if you fire this off on turn 3, like, they better be real scared, and they probably are real scared, because you're able to play some crazy thing next turn as a result of being so far ahead in mana. So very good card. I don't really see it in Constructed, as you noted. It's in this weird space.
Yeah,
that's Standard has got plenty of acceleration anyway. You're not really searching for it.
Yeah, and what are you accelerating into that's not like Nykthos space? So
right. So without something like Kadama's Reach or what's the new Kadama's Reach? Cultivate.
Yeah.
So like that's 3 mana all the time. This can be 3 mana, but ultimately it's more like 5 resources, and those are resources you can't give up in a very high-powered format like Standard.
Yeah, exactly.
So Overwhelm, as you had mentioned earlier, kind of fights against itself.
Yeah, because the Convoke means that you can't attack with those creatures.
It's so hilarious. Like, your creatures can help cast this spell, but they can't enjoy its abilities. ...
And this is not the kind of card that you just tap all your resources to play.
Like, right, you're like, I got it.
You're hoping to kill him with it, and it doesn't trample, so the card is not as bonkers as any of the actual Overwhelms that have been printed. Or not Overwhelms, Overruns.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's because it's so much more expensive, like, it's weird. This card's kind of a weird trap. It's like you can't go all the way, but you kind of want to.
You're still going to play it, though.
You're still going to play it because even if you have to tap 1 or 2 of your creatures, like tapping 2 of your creatures and then 5 mana and giving the rest of your team +3/+3 is still a blowout.
Yep.
It's still really good. Or if you're only pumping like your evasive creatures, you tap your non-evasive, tap all your lands, play Overwhelm, get them. Any sort of ramp allow you to play this faster. If you can pay 7 mana for Overwhelm, then you want to pay 7 mana for it. But if you have to pay like 2 creatures and 5 mana, still probably worth it. Still worth it. You don't want to, you definitely want to play it in basically both limited formats. I'm over here going like, I would play it this in draft, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's very good, but it's not busted like the Overruns were of the past. Like, anyone that remembers Overrun, when your opponent tapped 5 mana, you're just like, oh, I'm dead.
Oh, yeah, Overrun would just end the game. And this, thankfully, it doesn't give them trample, but it makes them really huge. It's going to provide you a huge swing, but isn't like auto game over for your opponent, because those cards aren't as fun.
Yeah.
They really aren't. Paragon of Eternal Wilds. Oh, yeah, the green Paragon.
We get some trample.
What?
And probably the best art.
It is really, really good. No doubt about it, giving green creatures trample for me is probably the second best one. The blue giving flying is good, but a lot of your blue creatures are going to have flying anyway.
Yep.
The black one is good, but it's more of a mana sink and probably takes a little bit longer to kind of really get value out of. Like it requires your opponent to tag into you and knowing you're going to be able to make a thing of death touch and blah, blah, blah. This one is just like, I'm going to turn my fatty sideways, and if you want to block it, I'm going to trample over it.
That's how you beat green decks, though, is like you just chump block while you're getting them with evasive creatures and tempo, whereas it's impossible to do that with this card because whatever creature you want to chump block, you just trample over it and it just dies.
Right.
Any of your death touch, if there is like good death touch, you're able to do both, but there isn't really anything in the set.
Exactly. So not only are you able to pump all of your green creatures, you're able to give them trample and just roll over whatever it is they're chumping with, quote unquote, which is very, very powerful. Super good in limited, not as good obviously in constructed. None of them really are.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't think so. I do not think so. But if there's any that would see play, I think it would be this as a one of, because you can like Chord of Calling for it. You're already playing a bunch of Burning Trees and mana guys that could all just get a big boost. I could see a one of this in a Chord of Calling mono green devotion deck.
It's possible. Again, the fact that we've had these crusades, these glorious anthems in all these different colors is just something we've never really had before.
Yeah.
So, they're pushing the envelope there. Again, super fun, great ability. You never know what it can do in constructed. Phyto Titan is not going to do anything in constructed. I will give you.
It's so cool, though.
It is the coolest thing, but it is a bad card. It's a bad card.
But when it dies, you return it to the
battlefield.
battlefield.
Right? It totally returns until they exile it, and then you're like, wait,
that's
supposed to do that.
Pillar of Flame.
Yeah, and they're like, oh.
Or Magma Spray, yeah.
Yeah, or Banishing Light, or, whatever. There's a million ways this guy is bad. There was a point in time many, many years ago where these types of cards I was like, oh my God, this card is amazing, and it's going to be unstoppable, and it's going to be incredible, and blah, 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 blah. It's not. 2 toughness basically guarantees it, but the The rest of it is just, 6 mana for this, maybe 7 if they don't have any chump blockers to kill it anyway, or they don't have a way to exile it, which they have a bajillion ways to do so. For me, the question is limited. Is this good?
Yes, it's just a recurring
It's
threat.
basically the Abyss, right?
Yeah, because every turn it comes back. So, like, it's just going to constantly either attack or block or threaten them in some way. I think it's very good and limited.
And the Paragon will give this thing trample. So at that point, it's an 8/3 that you can tap a green and give it trample. That is a super good card.
That's a game ender.
Yeah, that's a game winner for sure. So limited is good. No constructed. No.
No constructed.
No constructed for you. Plummet. Plummet's Plummet.
Plummet is... I overvalue Plummet a lot. I like killing flyers. Whenever there's a limited format where Plummet isn't in, I always feel like it should be.
But Plummet.
Plummet is really good. And you should play it in limited all the time and main deck 1 in every sealed pool.
That's right.
I always main deck 1 because it always bites me for not main decking it. Like, there's always a flyer that kills me.
It's the closest thing to a green Doomblade, if you will. And it kind of hits the things that a green Doomblade would. It's still conditional. There's still games, and even in sealed, when you play the one of, you can still lose the game with that in your hand.
Yeah.
Your opponent just played ground pounders and had some evasion on the, had intimidate or whatever instead of flying, and you just get destroyed. But there's also a majority of flyers that you're not going to be able to handle easily, and you might not have the spider, or you might not have anything with reach, and if you don't have Plummet, you're just going to lose to it. So, and particularly when they do things like stack an aura on top of it or whatever, this card becomes much better. By and large, it's going to be a sideboard in draft, but, as you mentioned, 1 in sealed for sure. In constructed, it's seen play.
It has killed a couple demons.
It's seen some play. It's not seen some play. It's come out of sideboards and things. But, Plummet's a really good old-fashioned Magic card.
Yeah, play it. It's good.
I like it a lot. Ranger's Guile still sees play. I still like it. I think a lot of people just discount how cool this is. This is basically a counterspell.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like one, but it totally is.
Yeah, I mean, removal spells, even abilities like activate or triggered abilities, you can stop with this card. Mm-hmm. It's a pump spell, so it can get a guy over another guy when they're tapped out. It's very versatile.
Right, so you're able to sort of trade up, or you're able to blow them out, you're able to stop the removal spell, you're able to stop their bounce spell. I mean, any of that stuff that is just sort of conditional makes Ranger's Guile better. Now, the drawback to it is that you don't want to have too many of them. You don't want to have a hand sort of full of these things because it is only a +1/+1 bonus. That's not huge. They don't always have the removal that you're going to be countering, which means it's kind of sort of dead in your hand. It can also create a situation where you don't want to tap out because you want to have Ranger's Guile open, but you kind of have to, which gives them the shields down moment of killing your guy or whatever. So it creates a tension that doesn't necessarily need to exist, but when you're able to always have this up and at the ready and able to bluff this type of card is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So
it's a good limited card.
Oh, baby.
Goodbye, Viridian Shaman.
Holy cow. It only took, 10 years?
To have the come into play for both,
To finally get naturalized.
So many different versions,
God, so many. We've had Enter the Battlefield, Destroy an Enchantment.
Destroy an Artifact.
Yeah, we had Destroy Artifact. I mean, we've had Manic Vandals for that. We've had Viridian Shaman for that. And finally, we get Naturalize on a stick. Card is sick. We'll see constructed play. Is absolutely playable in sealed and draft.
We'll see modern play. I mean, it kills Birthing Pod out of a Chord of Calling.
Absolutely. So it's super good. It's going to see it play in a ton of formats. I don't know if it's going to go all the way to Legacy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think
it's naturalized. That's super important. It kills all the things. That's amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna see, at least for the start of things, and maybe even at Pro Tour M15, just a ton of just one of in main decks with Chord of Calling. And
absolutely. And again, I mean, in the world like Legacy, you're going to have Green Sun Zenith, and even in Modern, of course. But, Legacy, you're just going to be like, well, I'm going to Green Sun Zenith, and then I'm going to kill your counterbalance, or whatever it is, or kill your sword, or kill your Sylvan Library, or whatever it is. Again, the fact that it finally can hit enchantments is a huge, huge deal, and I don't care if it has 1 toughness, it's still an easily main deckable card that will almost always give you value.
Oh, for sure.
It is great. Restock. Now, here's another one. Hasn't seen print since I think it was
Invasion block.
Oh yeah, it was Invasion, wasn't it?
It's such a weird card to get reprinted. We haven't seen a restock type effect in a long time. Like, especially one that gives us a 2-for-1. I'm not complaining.
No, it's a great card. Again, this is awesome. In sealed, it's amazing. In draft, it's good. It's not as good. It's a little slow and can kind of like, during their turn 5, they play something cool. Your turn 5, you're busy like getting cards back. They're kind of ahead on the board at that point. But, the fact that this is coming back, I think is terrific. And same art's cool. I like bringing back old cool cards that now at this point are modern legal.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't modern legal before.
We'll see if there's some sweet combo deck that this creates in modern. I don't know.
Or it's just, a sweet double regrowth, Regrowth was always a bit too good. The 3-mana regrowths were always a bit too bad. It's like counterspells, right? It was always like 2 mana's too good, 3 mana's bad. Try to figure out the middle. Restock is like, yeah, whatever. Let's just get back 2 for 5 mana. Like, screw it. So just not super impressive the more focused a format gets.
Yeah, I think you're going to want to play like this card when you have a lot of removal in a deck. Like this is more of a green-black card than it is any other color combination, or green-red with a bunch of lightning strikes.
And direct damage.
Because the more removal, the slower the game plays out.
Absolutely. So, sweet card, Roaring Primadox, as we know is a fine card.
It's good. You have to keep returning creatures, which kind of sucks, but
it does kind of suck. And I've gotten into that chain where you're like, Primadox go, pick it up, Primadox go. Like it happens, and you kind of get stuck in that wheel. And so, with not a ton of enter the battlefield abilities, like yes, you can pick up Reclamation Sage or Seder Wayfinder, and that's really sweet and all. But by and large, you're just going to be picking up itself or another dork right next to it, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. This guy just isn't like a windmill slam. He's not an always include. You kind of have to see where he is on the curve to make sure he's.
There are a lot of commons and other colors that have come into plays that are pretty cool though. There's not a ton, but there's enough.
There's enough. Yeah, particularly with like green red, able to get bonuses off of your Foundry Shriek Denizen or whatever.
Or the blue guy that taps a guy.
Absolutely. So this guy, just make sure you sort of take a look at your pool and where he fits in it, so you can be aware of the amount of combos you're able to have. But don't be surprised when you're just Primadox go, pick it up, Primadox go.
Pick up your Elvish Mystic and replay it.
Yep, over and over again. And because they have like a 5/6 or a 5/5, and you can't really attack, and you're just kind of stuck like playing this thing over go, playing this thing over go. It just is what it is. It's a fine Magic card. Runeclaw Bear, an even finer Magic card.
I like me some Runeclaw Bears.
Who loves bears?
I love bears.
Yeah, he does. Getting into the red zone, smashing for 2. Good old-fashioned Magic card.
Yep.
I mean,
meat and potatoes card.
God, gotta love it, man. Like, it's sort of where it all started. Good old 2-mana tutus.
Yeah.
And here we are. So, you're going to play it. It's going to fit in your curve. You're going to play it in sealed and draft almost every single time. It's not a constructed card because it's not meant to be, but it doesn't need to be.
Nope.
So, this is where limited comes from, baby, is 2-mana tutus.
Just a lot of bears.
Turning sideways. Seder Wayfinder, however, really interesting to me when they reprint cards super close to when they just got
right
printed.
when they came out,
That's really weird for me. I'm just like, didn't we just see this guy? Like, was he in Born, I think? Or was he in Journey?
He was in Born.
Okay. That's where I was like, man, they just printed this dude. So part of me goes like, did they really like it? Or is this like tying to a theme that they want to have? I don't know, I guess. I mean,
it's just I think it's better than Civic Wayfinder, whereas like this has the tension. Are you going to hit the land? And it's cheaper. And I'm glad that this is here over Borderland Ranger or Civic Wayfinder, just because there's more tension involved with the card. So
I know, but I really like Civic Wayfinder and Borderland Ranger.
I do too, but they're always generic, right? They're like combat damage on the stack. The same thing always happens.
I know, but they're so good.
Those cards, you would play a bunch, and you could just play one island. You could splash really easily. Like if you had 2 of them, you could splash one island and still play 2 blue cards. But you can't do that with Civic Wayfinder.
Correct.
And that just makes Magic a little bit better, in my opinion.
It makes Magic. It makes it more interesting / more exciting. And
more
fun.
Challenging.
Absolutely. So there's goods and there's bads. It's a 3-mana. Civic Wayfinder was a 3-mana 2/2. Enters the battlefield. Go find a basic land. Put it in your hand. This obviously 2-mana 1/1. Hope it's in the top 4 cards, find a land card, and you can mill the rest. Maybe it has something to do with putting cards in the graveyard. Jace the Living Guildpact does that. This does that. So maybe there's some graveyard-based stuff going on in Khans of Tarkir. We don't know. But the question is, how main deckable is this in Limited?
I usually main deck it if I don't have a lot of 2-drops and there's a lot of like creatures I want to trade with. And there are a decent amount, but not a ton in this format. So it's not a card that I'll play unless I need a card, or want to play like a 17.5 lands, and this is just kind of my card.
If you're kind of sort of like maybe not cheating on lands, but maybe you kind of need some sort of land accelerant type thing.
Yeah.
It's like a 22nd or 23rd card in your limited deck. It's not great.
If you have a lot of Paragons, then it becomes a 2/2 on its own. But or I mean, if you have the thing about this card is it does get you a land, so it is interesting with Convoke. Actually, like this is a really good Convoke card.
It really is a terrific Convoke sort of enabler, if you will, because that makes this card way more interesting and way more useful than just being a 2-mana 1/1 that might have found you a land.
Yep.
At least then it can do something else. Shaman of Spring.
I mean, I feel this is kind of like after the guild gates getting the temples. It's like I just got Eidolon and Blossom. What I want this card.
I know, you're like, I just want the good one that lets me draw a bunch of cards. I mean, Eidolon is 2 green and a colorless versus 3 colorless and a green.
And this is also a common for a limited format, so...
Correct. So
it's very good.
It is really good. You're going to play it in all your green decks. There's nothing wrong with this card.
No.
It's just not as exciting as Eidolon of Blossoms, but few cards are, not to mention that's rare. And here we are with the common. So, again, it's going to do great things with Convoke. It's a great card to tap for Convoke because you're not sort of getting outclassed immediately because your 4-mana 2/2 is going to be outclassed by their 4-mana 3/4 or 4/4 or whatever it is. So it allows it to sort of last out a little bit longer, but just play this unlimited every time, draft it highly and enjoy, and it will never see constructed play because Eidolon of Blossoms exists.
Yes.
Siege Worm is awesome.
This card's bonkers. This card's very good. Draft it early. Draft around it.
Draft all the things. This is what your Satyr Wayfinder is going to be powering out. This is way better than the Seraph of the Masses.
Yes.
Because it's always a 5/5 and it has trample. That's huge. This card was insane in Ravnica block and will be just as insane here.
It'll even be better because that format was a little bit slower and more about like triple colors and things like that. This is going to be a premium threat in this format.
Absolutely. This card is terrific. Play it in limited every single time. Draft many of them. High five your neighbor when you get 2 or 3 of them and just smash your opponents to bits.
Yep.
The card is sweet. Soul of Zendikar. Oh, the runt.
Yeah, the runt to the litter. Every other one, gives all creatures +2/+2 in lifelink or kills creatures or returns creatures from their graveyard.
Well,
this
get
one
+2/+2 lifelink and first strike. You know what I'm saying?
This makes a beast.
This makes a dude.
And can block flyers.
Yep.
Like Arbor Colossus.
Make
for cheaper.
A dude.
It's good. It's a limited bomb. You'll play it every time. You'll be happy. Yeah. But I know your spiel already.
I know.
But it's real bad in Constructed. And green creatures, this is embarrassing in Constructed.
It's just bad.
Every single bomb, mythic, or rare green creature is just laughing at Soul Zendikar.
Pretty much. I mean, it's okay. Every once in a while, they kind of get the short end.
I mean, Zendikar's even laughing at Soul Zendikar. It's like, this does not represent what we were about.
You think you're me? Zendikar's like, you don't know me. You don't know what I can do. I got Jace here, punk. Cards, I love everything Zendikar. I wanted
the soul of Zendikar.
Except the soul of it. And I'm just like, could you make the soul a little bit more interesting? I mean, I guess, again, this to me feels like they've already given Chord of Calling, and there's Nissa Worldwaker. Yep. It's like they just don't need anything else.
No.
So when they don't need anything else and you don't want to give them anything else, you get a card like this, which is mediocre. But in limited, create a huge bomb, and you'll love it. It's amazing. Just not in Constructed. Sunblade Elf is sweet.
It's interesting. I'm curious, this is the Curd Ape.
Yes.
But it's just a 2/2, and there's so many other 2/1s that don't have a situation.
It's got an ability.
It's got a really expensive ability.
That ability is really relevant because I remember playing with Celestia Guildmage, and that card was real. And you paid 4 mana to pump your team. You pay 5 mana here, but this is where green-white tokens would kind of come into play, and you would want the ability to make a bunch of tokens with the what was the white card designed by Justin Gary? Soul something.
Oh yeah, the Spirit Maker.
Yeah, the Spirit.
I don't remember the name.
Yeah, but either way, being able to play a Sunblade Elf, pay another mana, get another 1/1 go. Tap a bunch of mana, pump all your guys. Smash. That's what this guy's second ability is. What puts him over the top. It's not just because he's a Curd Ape or the green Curd Ape or whatever. It's because he has the ability to pay 5 mana and pump your entire team. That's great in limited and possibly great in Constructed. And we shall see, fingers crossed, if it can actually get there. Titanic Growth is huge.
This is very good. It's an instant. It's no Phytoblast. Phytoblast was really garbage because it was a sorcery. But being an instant, it makes it awesome.
Super, super awesome. Always play it in limited. pick it highly. I mean, it makes every creature amazing. It's the best combat trick that you pretty much have beyond, I guess, the fight.
All the
spell.
convokes. I think all the convokes are better.
The convokes are really good.
Yeah.
But it's hard to argue with +4/+4, man.
It is.
It's real hard. And,
Especially in this format.
Yep. I mean, yeah, this is all right. So here we go. You're in it. You open a pack. You're in green, and you
Gather
see.
Courage, not close.
Okay. All done here. Gather Courage, not close. It is. Thanks.
Oh, here's a card that makes Satyr Wayfinder good.
All right. All right.
I mean, it's fine. I don't think it's that good.
No, it's bad early. It's good late, which makes it a really kind of strange Magic card, particularly as a creature because, you know, you see this guy in your opening hand, and you're like, oh man.
Satyr Wayfinder into the 3/1 zombie that mills you.
Into this guy has potential.
And then you could play your reanimation spell on something.
Mm-hmm. And then the conductor goes, doot, doot, and you're like, are we
All
in
right,
Magical
we're there.
Christmas Land yet?
We're there.
And he's like, we're here, baby.
Yeah, but we're actually a couple stops short because that wasn't even that good.
See? We're a couple miles out. You're just getting close. There's nothing. It's fine. It's a card that, you know, you can build a synergy around it. You can make the synergies happen.
To be fair, building a graveyard synergy in a core set is kind of cool because that's never been a thing.
It's super cool. I mean, you know, is this where you go so deep you mind sculpt yourself?
No.
Come on, man.
No.
Come on.
We're just no.
Oh, and then he has
No.
to go. Venom, Sliver, constructed playable.
No.
I don't know, man. Your boy Tom Ross just put 4 in his Sliver deck.
You mean in modern?
Was it in modern?
Or he did modern and constructed lists.
You mean modern and standard?
Or standard, yeah.
I'm pretty sure this was in the standard one.
All right, sure. My boy made a Sliver. Do you know that his range of building decks is really high?
It
Or
really
wide?
is.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like, if Slivers are good, this is probably a good Sliver in standard. But I'm not going to play a Sliver deck in standard.
This is an incredible Sliver to Chord of Calling for.
Yes.
They're just like, blah, 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 and you're like, just a moment. Brr, boom, and then all these slivers I made with my land all become Death Touchers and kill your crap. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Even in limited, just good old-fashioned as a 2-mana 1/1, it's fine. Because at that point, it's just sort of a pit
Oh,
scorpion.
yeah. This is the best Sliver in the format because it's cheap and it's a death touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It does really, really good work. It's going to trade up, you know, basically every single time. It's an amazing wall, as we said earlier. You know, like this... The fact that green both has a Typhoid Rats and the black does, then you know that's terrific because they stop these huge fatties from just winning automatically.
Yep.
And that's great. Again, constructed, I don't know. Fingers crossed.
It's if Slivers
Flip
are
a coin.
good.
Who knows? I don't know. Verdant Haven, I ain't getting this one wrong this time.
It's good.
The card is good.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
It is very good.
It's very good.
Play it, and you will like it. Because we did after we said it was bad. And we were like, oh my God, this card is great. We're dumb.
It's good.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sometimes we get it
RB.
wrong. Yep. Our total B, man. And I ain't going to get you wrong on this one, guys. Play this card. You will like it. You will love how it fixes your mana. You will love how it advances your mana and kind of, you know.
If you're a graveyard-based deck, and a Convoke deck, play Satyr Wayfinder. If you're trying to splash a color, play Verdant Haven.
Sure. But either way, it's rare. Even in a combo deck, it doesn't matter that. I mean, like if you're choosing between the two, that's different.
Yeah, but
if the fact that Verdant Haven is just good on its own is fine.
Yep.
It's great. Vine Weft, guys. Seriously?
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, it's fine. It's like the worst Rancor ever.
Oh my God!
It's so bad.
I think this card is bad. This card is real bad.
Yeah.
It's just not good. I mean, you know, again. Yes, you're able to get it back at the end of their turn. That's great. 1 green +1/+1 is bad. It's just not good. It's good when you're able to combine it with something, you know, +1/+1 and
You
a
can
thing.
discard it to Satyr Wayfinder, I guess.
Oh, God.
Don't play it. It's real bad.
It's real bad. It's okay. There has to be bad cards. This is one of them. We'll move on. Wall of Mulch coming back. Saw play in Onslaught, I think it was.
Yeah, it was an Onslaught block.
Onslaught card, yep. It's really cool. I love the Sacrifice a Wall. That's my favorite bit of text.
Sacrifice a wall, draw a card.
Right. Any wall. Doesn't have to be it. Just sacrifice
Even
a
your
wall.
opponents.
Not your opponents.
Yeah, that's not how sacrifice works.
No. But it would be really, really good to be able to get a bunch of walls out and then finally play the Wall of Mulch rather, and kind of turn them into, you know, different cards that now do something versus the walls that you don't need anymore.
Or you could just not play them in the first place.
Maybe. How playable is this?
It's not playable.
Not a bit.
I mean, it could be a sideboard card, but like it's fine. It's okay If it had reach, it'd be way better.
I mean, remember we're in a format with Convoke.
All right, fine, you can play it.
Oh, now it's fine. You can play it. Okay, fine. Look, dude, I'm not trying to borrow $15 to go to the movies or anything. Like, I'm just trying to ask him about whether Wall of Mulch is good and limited or not. And he's like, fine, play this stupid thing, draw your stupid card, whatever.
$15 for a movie?
Look, you gotta get some
Is it
popcorn.
3D?
It's 3D with popcorn.
If it's popcorn, then it's like 26.
Okay,
let's be real.
26 it is. Fine. But Wall of Mulch is playable, I think, because A, you can cash it in, and B, you have Convoke.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so much worse than like Wall of Omens and those ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We
like
know. But I mean, it is what it is. Like Magic, everything is only as good as its context allows it to be.
I agree, and this is just not a card that I would play. I don't see why I'd want a wall in my green deck. Even if I have Convoke, I'd rather just be like a Rune Claw Bear. Like,
Well,
what am I cutting
yes.
over this?
Oh, for God's sakes, don't play this. Like, play this as 22nd or 23rd card. I'm a green /
If I'm
something
missing
deck.
something, yeah.
Yeah, I need something else, or I'm looking for something that isn't embarrassing. This isn't embarrassing. It's just not the best thing you could be doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is pretty
Yisan.
close to the best thing you can be doing.
Yisan?
Yisan the Wanderer Bard.
Yisan!
Yisan the Wandering Bard Narson.
All right, so I don't feel as dumb as I was at first when I really liked this card because I was like, oh my God, I didn't see the tap symbol. And I was like, it's like a green 2.
Oh, you just thought it was just like
put a
3 mana.
counter go. And I was like, oh my God, this card is amazing. And everyone was like, but you only do it once a turn. And I'm like, okay, it still seems pretty good. And then Reed Duke wrote about how he was thinking about using this in a deck. And I was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Now I don't feel like a complete idiot anymore. That's good. Because untapping with this guy is very powerful. Like when it is, my favorite word, unmolested. When it is unmolested, unkilled, not messed with, this has the ability to start taking over the game by itself.
Yeah, and I do think that eventually we will be at a time, hopefully now because of Chord, Colonian and Yisan, that we can play with Prophet of Krufix. I think that it's a very good card, but we just haven't had a reason to play with it.
Yes, Prophet of Krufix in this, and that was sort of the crux of Reed's deck, was the ability to just essentially start getting value and then untap and then get more value, and then untap and then get a 3-drop, and then untap and get a 4-drop. I mean, that's super powerful and able to kind of push you over the top and makes this card a must-kill card all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden your opponent is like going, well, do I kill the Prophet of Krufix or do I kill the Yisan? You know?
Yeah, and you have to kill the Yisan, which will clear the way for the Prophet.
Right.
And so I do like this card a lot in a banned shell. I'm guessing his deck was banned. I did not see it.
It was.
But like I want to hit, my Voice of Resurgences, and I want my Chord of Colonians to also hit the toolbox that Yisan also wants to grab.
Exactly.
And I want to hit my Aetherling.
Exactly. So it was basically it was an article all about Chord of Calling, much like Sam Black talked about Chord of Calling. But no doubt about it, this card has the ability to be really exciting. I think it's a really cool design. Way to go, Brian Fargo. You did a good job.
You also made a good movie. Brian Fargo made Fargo, right?
You did not make Fargo.
Oh.
Coen Brothers, and it's also a really good TV show, as I understand it. Staff of the Wild Maggot sucks.
I'm just gonna say North Dakota's awesome. Fargo,
I don't know. I've never been. Tormod's Crypt is back. This, again, there's a lot of graveyard-based stuff in this set. It's kind of subtle.
Yeah, it's gonna happen next set. Dragons, and they all died because this guy died in its ancient world, and
Ancient World's
and there's a
graveyard.
lot of artifacts. Like, of
Murder.
course, we get it. There's gonna be artifacts.
All right, fine, sure, whatever. Hoard your dragons and dragon your sieges and
Yeah.
a little game of hide and
Hopefully
go.
Tezzeret shows up.
Yeah, Tormod's Crypt yourself. Do stuff. This
good.
is a bad card in limited. And it's not a good card in constructed only if you need it to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it has to be a format in which they're really relying on.
And we've had Rest in Peace, and it's never seen play forever, so this card won't see play.
Except in Legacy, where it was awesome.
Well,
and,
yeah.
Right, and then same in Tormod's Crypt, except in Legacy, where it's awesome because you needed to get rid of the Dredge deck. And so this is a card that it's nice that it exists. I appreciate the fact that they brought it back in Standard for whatever reason their graveyard-based deck could do damage, or to hose on a green-black Dredge deck if that ever got out of hand. This is your safety valve. Just like Back to Nature for the enchantment decks, you have Tormod's Crypt for the black-green Dredge deck. So this to me tells, at least to me, it sort of shows how much the development team knew about what the format could be and made sure to put in those scalpels to kind of cut out the problems when you encounter them, and that's what this card is here for. Tyrant's Machine, tell me about it.
Well, it is the worst icy manipulator of all time.
It sure is.
It's real bad.
It's pretty rough, man.
I don't think I would play this ever.
I think you're wrong.
I think it's too expensive. It's the worst. It's the most expensive version of this card of all time.
It is, but it doesn't make it unplayable. It's better. No, don't. What? I'm serious, man. In sealed, it's way better. Like, this is where it goes. In sealed, it's up here. In draft, it's probably down here, and it just doesn't exist.
Where is this starting point?
This is good.
This is good.
This is good.
This card is at least starts here.
Why?
Because you have to pay 6 mana to get any effect out of this card.
Sure.
And then, if you ever fall behind, this card can't be used. So now it's a dead card until it becomes a live card until you get parity back.
No, that's not true. If you fall behind, you're able to tap their best thing.
But then you can't get back onto the board.
You can, but you're also not dying.
Well, but that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm going to keep tapping this so I don't die, but I'm still never going to cast anything, so they're going to build their board and get...
Well, the idea is you're able to cast things, obviously. And that,
but they can need 1,000,000 mana.
Well, yeah, but by slowing them down allows you to either use your creatures as convoke mana, quote-unquote, or you're able to draw more lands as you slow them down, so you can begin to kind of catch up. All I'm saying is, for me, the reason I like this card is because, A, it hits on the curve. If you do 1 drop, this is your 2 drop, your 3 drop, and then 4 mana, you can tap their best thing and attack.
It's also a pyramid, and I don't like pyramids.
Yeah, well, Illuminati says what's up. All right.
I hope somebody just pauses it and has beams of light coming out like Photoshop.
It's a huge conspiracy. Anyway, all I know is that tap target creature is a very powerful effect to be able to use in any color, no matter what you are, and just traditionally, the ability to, end of your turn, tap that creature. On my turn, tap your other creature, alpha, or play a cool spell that pumps my guys, hit you. That's a very powerful swing for me.
This is an expensive version of it.
It sure is, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like removal spells. You know, they could cost a whole bunch of mana, but you're still going to play them.
I will never play this card.
He lies.
I won't.
He lies. We're going to be at the pre-release. He's going to be playing this thing, and he'll be like, dude, the Tyrant's machine totally pulled me back from blah, blah, blah. It's going to be an I told you so moment. It's going to feel real good. Will Forged Golem. This card is awesome, actually.
I really do like this card. It's a convoke, artifact, any deck can play it. When I saw it, I thought it was adorable. I think it's going to see a lot of play. I think it's good. It's, it has mediocre stats, but some decks want this kind of card.
The art is kind of weird.
Yeah, it feels like this should be like an equipment or a way to destroy an equipment. It doesn't feel like
he looks like
a
some
creature.
Yeah, he looks like some weird superhero or something.
Yeah,
it looks like a reject from The Incredibles 2 or something, or they're like, yeah, we don't like that concept. We're like, no, man, he can put himself together and it's awesome, all right, whatever. But ultimately, again, any colors can use this, so that makes it great. It's basically a 4/4 for however many resources you want to put into it, as it were. I tap 4 creatures and 2 mana. That's a thing. But you're always giving up something to get this out cheaper. But a 4/4 for all colors is still a fine card.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be like a must-have, but it is something that some colors just don't have access to. Like a blue-white deck might not have access to a 4/4 that they want. Right.
And this gives them the ability to be like, all right, I'll play it. It's not something I feel like you slam into every deck. You don't first pick these things or whatever, but you might get them pretty late in draft and in sealed when you're kind of looking at your curve or you're looking at your creature base and you're like, my God, I can't kill anything with 4 toughness. This is your man.
And Midnight Guard loves this guy.
Yeah, ding. Untap him, and you got a 2/3 and a 4/4. Gotta love it. Oh my God, Garruk Apex Predator.
Save the best for last.
Woo woo! This card is sweet.
Yeah, it's the first time I saw it, it's like 7 mana. It seems like a lot, but green-black decks are all based around attrition, and if you have Courser of Crewfix, you know how Courser slow decks like attrition-based get to a lot of mana.
Well, you got Silver Caryatids, and you got your Coursers, and you got your Elvis Mystics. 7 mana is not out of the question.
No, especially with Courser, it slows the games down, and you have Thoughtseizes, and his abilities are just amazing. You just destroy planeswalkers and make beasts, and you can destroy creatures and gain life, and gaining life is awesome. And then the ultimate is the first time you get to give someone an emblem.
Yes, you get it. Ha-ha.
It's yours.
You have that, buddy. This is yours. You can take that.
You got it. Attack you.
Get you.
Yeah,
is awesome.
I love this Planeswalker. Tick up, destroy another Planeswalker.
That's amazing.
All I know is Liliana screwed over his life, and he is mad.
Yeah, he is. I mean, look, the ability to trump, they're like, yes, Elspeth, Sunshine, and you go, Garruk dead. That's amazing.
Yeah, and now you can attack, but he ain't dead yet.
And it doesn't even matter if all the soldiers swing back, he's going to have 3 loyalty. And then he goes up to 4 loyalty and makes a 3/3 beast that's going to kill anything. That's fantastic. 4 abilities on a Planeswalker. You remember last time we saw 4 abilities on a Planeswalker?
I don't think this one will get banned.
I don't think it's going to get banned, but you remember how good it was. You remember how good 4 different options at any time is.
That was the last time in Magic where I only played blue-white.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
I played Jace at like, I think 4, no, I could have played it at 4 Pro Tours in a row, but I only played it at 3.
Right, so you have 2 pluses, one that can kill the other best thing on the board, the other that protects himself with an incredibly awesome creature,
yeah.
The other ability that you -3 so you can kill anything that's hurting you, the emblem that's just going to end the game. Like, the emblem is just like this sweet cherry that didn't even need to be there because the rest of the stuff is so awesome.
Yeah.
This card is amazing, and we'll see a ton of play. SEG, we sold out in 1 day.
Well, yeah, the card's awesome. And it's
gone.
Sweet art, too. Like,
God, the art is sweet. The guy is great. Like, I don't see a way to lose in Limited after you resolve a Garruk Apex Predator. Like, you have to be so far behind, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be so busted.
To play him and make a 3/3 Death Touch with 6 loyalty, go. Like, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like, good gosh, that's crazy.
And if you use his actual first ability in Limited, it's going to feel so good. Your opponent's going to be so mad.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, Planeswalker you, and you're like, kill it.
Yeah, thanks. And they're going to be like, but I had all these blockers, and you were never going to get through, and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
Garruk says, what's up? Garruk says hi. He's really good. I love him.
He's very awesome.
He's great. They built a whole set around this guy for good reason. I love it. And again, this is one of those where it's not overpowered. It's just really good.
Fun and flashy.
Yep. And
Except not that flashy because he's very dark and gray.
Yeah, he's a brooding.
Yep.
He has a lot of pain.
He does have a lot of pain behind those
pain.
eyes. He's cursed, man.
And I'm excited to see him share that pain with the world, which is what he's about to do starting next week. So that's going to be exciting. And tournaments all around the world. Sliver Hive Lord. That's a 5-mana 5/5 right there.
This is awesome. And for Chord of Calling, when I saw this card and I saw Chord of Calling, I'm like, oh man, Slivers might be a thing. Because I don't care how bad your Slivers are, they all share each other's abilities, and they all have Indestructible. And they can have Lifelink, and
they can have Death Touch at this point.
They can have Death Touch. They can all ping, like the ping one with Death Touch. And like,
yeah, they could have 2 hit. They could all only be blocked by 2 or more creatures. I mean, you know, they can all get +1/+1.
Once they all have Lifelink and Indestructible, though, like the game is just over. Like, how are you dealing with that? Like, just
what you gonna do with that, brah?
Yeah, Lifelink Indestructible, it doesn't matter anymore. You're dead.
Oh my God, I'm dead. And then you got a land that's able to make a 1/1 with all of the abilities.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I can't wait for starting next week, we're just going to see Sliver decks. Like,
I can't wait.
It's going to be on SCG Live in Baltimore.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
They better be bringing out those Sliver decks, man, because I want to see them. I'm super excited with all of the mana fixing, with that incredible land, with this sweet finisher. Like, you have the ability to just wreck a standard environment for a good 3 months with one of the best tribal synergies I've ever seen.
Yep.
So sweet. Now, Darksteel Citadel is an amazing land. Hasn't seen print since Mirrodin?
Yep.
Man, that's a decade.
And it was so indestructible, it was the only artifact land that didn't get banned.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was so indestructible.
Yep, it was the most indestructible of all.
They wanted to ban it, but the flavor just won't allow it.
Yeah, they're
flavor
like,
foul.
Can't do it. Sorry. You only get your seats and your tree of tails and all other garbage. Like, the Darksteel Citadel itself, for me, I like the fact that it interacts with Nissa. I like the idea that you can kind of bring back this cool land just, because you can.
And I mean, it's the only one that is not banned in Modern, too.
Yeah. So it's kind of harmless in many ways and may have some synergies that, may crop up from time to time.
Yeah.
But again, this is more like Wizards is like, okay, we'll just print a cool land.
There might be a reason. We're going to see what happens next set.
Right. Konzatark here feels like maybe the fortifications will come in. I've been waiting for fortifications since Future Sight. seriously, I want to see some fortifications. Now, these are the equipment, the land equipment, if you will. And I want to see those. I am really excited about those existing because I want to be able to sort of upgrade my land, attach a sort of a building to my land or like a garrison or whatever to it. I want to be able to do something with my lands. And this one says you're going to be able to do something with it forever.
Yep.
It's indestructible. Hey, there's a Land of War Wastes.
And that's the last one.
Oh my God.
I do like how Kibler had to wait so long to get his Temple of Malady, and then he immediately gets Land of War Wastes.
I know, right?
And we all know all of Kibler's content was pretty much just based around Golgari, Gilgate, and it was getting embarrassing for a while. I know that man loves he loves his green-black decks, and now he finally gets all of his mana, so we'll see what he does now. Now I'm excited to see where Kibler gets to go with all of his green-black decks.
Now he gets to build another green-black deck. Okay,
with
sweet.
Perfect mana.
Yes, his mana is so perfect. And this set is so good. I hope you guys have enjoyed going through all the cards as much as we have. It's just rare that I'm so excited and so happy with almost every single card.
Oh yeah, they're fun. There's a ton of flavor. I loved all the different sets, and they just brought all the worlds together for this set. And all the planeswalkers are cool. Like, it's an A+ in my book. Like, it's a slam dunk. One of the best sets I've seen, at least core sets.
For sure.
And definitely my favorite flavor since Innistrad.
Yeah, for sure. It oozes with flavor. It brings back a lot of cool nostalgia. It has a ton of great creatures, a ton of really interesting spells. Convoke is a terrific mechanic to bring back. It brings back a ton of cool rares for standard. It fits a bunch of different little holes. I mean,
and it feels like it's going to have good gameplay.
It really does, and that's to me is the number one thing is when you're able to read through these cards and just see how many different scenarios you're going to be able to create and put into place as a result of all the ways the abilities just work together in really cool, subtle ways. And that to me says they did a terrific job in thinking about all the different ways the cards could go together. That's design, that's development. This is the best core set in a long time. M16 has a huge bar to cross. I mean, like, really seriously high. And it's okay, if this is the best in the next 5 years, enjoy it.
Yep.
You know what? Go out,
it's a good set.
Play it, enjoy it. I can't wait to see what it does in standard. I'm super happy with it. Dear God, Aaron Forsyth, you only work on one set a year. You really showed what you can add to a team, I feel, because, you did a terrific job. Set. And the design team, development team, you guys killed it. I love talking about good Magic sets.
Also, the first time that they just let a bunch of other game designers, I'm pretty sure that Aaron Forsyth just wants to help other game designers. And he's like, come scratch our back. I want to scratch yours.
He needs to see what the new Plants vs. Zombies is going to be before anyone else. He's like, I'll let you design a Magic card, right?
Yeah, the next Plants vs. Zombies, there's just going to be an Aaron Forsyth plant. Like, it's just going to be his face. He's going to be spitting seeds.
Exactly. It's like, what? Deal with it.
Yeah.
Get you. Because he can. So that gimmick, if you will, I think is really great. I hope they don't bring it back.
No.
I hope they don't bring it back for a good long while. I think it's one of those things you kind of need space for them to work right. But again, it just
unless they let Magic pros do it, because that would be cool.
Right, and had invitationals to let you do that.
Well,
nope.
I won't be qualified for those. So.
Well, I was. 30 minutes, great. Anyway, I got smashed. But regardless,
shocking.
Shut up.
How'd you do at the Pro Tour at least?
Like, I got 2 wins.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I know. I was so close to winning my first round, and then I lost, and it just went. Psh. Anyway, we want to thank you guys for watching and checking out the set with us. I hope you guys enjoyed at home. And for Evan Irwin,
Brad Nelson,
we're tapping all the cards.
So you don't have to, except when you convoke.
Right.
Then you can.
You bet.